Hello everyone, welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. The topics on the table today, people. We're going to be talking about Mainoo and Harry Maguire back in the team. When we get back from the international break, they will be fit, available and ready to go. Maybe it takes a little bit longer. Maybe, a couple of days, for example. But they are going to be back in training, so that's an absolute positive for sure. For anyone who watched Denmark last night against Portugal, Patrick Dorgu had a really, really good game and also got an assist as well. So I want to discuss his performance. We've had news coming out from Sky today that Jarrad Branthwaite is back on the table for Manchester United as a deal they still want to do, potentially, depending on the price and what Everton are asking for. And we also have a world record deal in place for Manchester United's new stadium, and people are already speculating who that company is. You could probably guess. But are other big companies throwing their names in the hat as well to have the name stadium rights? And how do you feel in general kind of about having a new stadium attached with this sponsor? Because a lot of people don't like it. People talk about it as, kind of a deal with the devil and selling your soul. Ironically, the devil, Red Devils United. But you can see people's points, and I absolutely understand that. So we're going to kick things off with this Maguire and Mainoo return situation. So apparently, both Mainoo and Harry Maguire have returned back to grass training this morning. Both have done well in their rehab work in recent weeks, and fitness levels have improved. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be definitely available, but it's a huge boost just to have them in the conversation, like I touched on a moment ago before. And them two in particular, even for England as well, you think about Thomas Tuchel. The starting lineup came out tonight for the game against Latvia. I think it is Marcus Rashford starting again. So not only will Maguire and Mainoo want to get back in the picture with Manchester United and starting on a regular basis, they'll also obviously want to get back in the picture with England as well, and everything that's ongoing there with the new Tuchel. Don't even make sense. With the new manager, Thomas Tuchel, he's probably going to want to assess these players and see how they are. Harry Maguire's experience in that back line is invaluable, and Mainoo, given the rise that he had and how he kind of went into the team in the Euros and became an important midfielder, is interesting. I'm sure there will be a role for both. It just depends on what kind of capacity, especially for Man United. It's interesting with Mainoo, I think, because let's take Alejandro Garnacho as an example at the moment, right? Over January and in the December period, you were hearing a lot of stuff coming out from Manchester United that we want to sell Garnacho. This is the thing that was coming out. We were talking about PSR. Whatever reason it was like maybe Amorim doesn't seem as a like-for-like fit for this system. And there was question marks thrown up in the air, and it felt like it was very close that he was going to Napoli, and he's got quite a few admirers, and rightfully so, because he's an extremely talented player. However, in the past couple of weeks, and I'm sure you guys have identified with this as well, he has switched over to the right-hand side and has been playing much better and seems much more comfortable. And also it plays into little nuanced things like he almost has to pass the ball across the box because it's not on his weak foot. I mean, do you know what I mean? If he was to cut in, it just makes more sense putting him on the right-hand side. And we've seen him there before. I remember under Ten Hag, around the December period again, actually, when we played Aston Villa, and I think we was 2-0 down and we ended up winning the game 3-2, and Garnacho, that was one of the games where he first started on the right-hand side, and everyone was like, oh, we should start him there. And then he kind of drifted back over to the left again. So at least he's showing he has levels of versatility that he can play in different roles. But for me personally, and again, get your questions in, get your comments in. If you feel Garnacho is better on the right-hand side, why do you think that is? What are the specifics in that situation? Because I do think he's better there. And now I'm even questioning myself, like, well, should you sell him? Should you sell Garnacho now? That's where we're at with him at the minute. With Mainoo, obviously, I still think United fans don't want to sell him. I still think they're of the opinion that he is a super, super talented player, and we just need to find a role for him. But where does he fit in this system right now? You go through the team, 3-4-3. What is Mainoo's best position in this team? Because as a second midfielder alongside Ugarte, you saw Amorim talking about his recovery run, not being good enough. And that's why he deployed him a little bit higher up. I mean, he's even tried him as a number 9 in the team. I can't remember who that was against. It might have been Brentford or something. But yeah, it's just crazy to see him. And then he had one game, it might have been in the Europa League against the Victoria Pleasant or FCSB, where he played as one of the attacking 10s, and it was 1,000 times better. Because he operates best, and he did this under Eric Ten Hag as well, on the edge of the 18-yard box when he's got, kind of license to roam, chop and change, dribble past players, link up players, combinational play. That's what he's good at. And I think he can work in one of those 10s. And obviously we don't have a rich depth of players in those roles. You've got Xerxes, Garnacho and Højlund, basically. And then obviously when Ahmad comes back, it'd be interesting to see what happens if he pushes back to wing back or he continues in the inside 10 roles. I think Ahmad can do both because he's super talented. But with Mainoo, I don't think there is a definitive role where you can pinpoint your finger and go, that's where he should be. I think there's a couple of issues in midfield. He doesn't have the athleticism for me personally to be up and down the pitch to have that volume, and that's where he struggled a little bit alongside Manuel Ugarte. And also, I think his progressive passing needs to get better. I think with someone like Ugarte, you have someone there who is there to put fires out, right? He's the one with the output volume who's going to be intercepting balls, he's going to be causing havoc, he's going to be pinching it left, right, and centre, and then he gives it to the player alongside him to then spray. The issue is, Kobbie Mainoo doesn't really have that in his locker. But the Paul Pogba passes I'm talking about, breaking the lines. He does it on the occasion. He has the odd switch of play, but when you watch him, he doesn't have that full. And he might develop into that. It might, you look at someone like Paul Scholes, for example. I mean, he had 3, 4, 5, 6 different roles in Man United's team, didn't he? So he might well develop into that, but we just haven't seen it yet. So I think Amorim is going to deploy him more as one of the attacking 10s, and then we'll see if he can kind of progress into that midfield, because the way Bruno Fernandes is playing at the moment alongside Ugarte, I would be a little bit hesitant to kind of throw him straight back in there. So Harry Maguire, we already know, is most likely going to be one of the central centre-backs, and the reason for that is typically because if he plays the left-sided centre-half or right-sided centre-half, when you're in a certain attacking phase and you're pushed right up the pitch, if you have Harry Maguire as the left-sided centre-half or right-sided centre-half and you get caught, which has happened for one of the games, I can't remember what game it was, I wish I could, but he was pushed right up the pitch, we got caught, and we ended up conceding a goal. So you want players more like Lenny Yoro, Aiden Heaven, strong, quick, good on the ball, either side. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I would prefer to see, preferably. So Maguire's going to come back in. He's got the experience, he's got the height, and in a back three, he's got much more security, and also you're defending the 18-yard box quite a lot as well. Well, obviously, it's a lot more technical than that, but I'm saying when crosses are coming into the box and we're defending quite deep, Maguire's perfect for that, right? If you're pushing right up the pitch and there's big giant gaps in behind, that's where you can kind of exploit his weaknesses slightly. So I'm interested to see these two coming back in. Obviously, De Ligt's been doing really well as well. So, I know they're going to chop and change, but De Ligt, again, is another one. I quite like him. I like De Ligt in the middle, and then I like Yoro and Heaven, or Yoro Majari, or something like that. That's the combinations I like in particular, and I think De Ligt's a leader. I think he's good as that central centre-back. He's played in the back three multiple times, so he's obviously starting to get comfortable in this system now. But again, it's going to chop and change. We've got a lot of fixtures when we come back. Every 3-4 days, it's going to be absolute carnage, so you're going to need all the players that you can get. Amy Rock in the chat saying, howdy Red Devils, maybe Garnacho has a dominant left eye, making him better on the right. I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is, but he's better on the right-hand side for me. I think that is just, I don't even think it's an opinion. I think it's, you look at a lot of the good moments from Garnacho, even when you think about the FA Cup final, right, when he scored, what side of the pitch was that on? That right-hand side. What was I saying about Mainoo? Mainoo operates, where did his goal come from in the FA Cup final? Edge of the 18-yard box, kind of left-hand side slightly. Where did his goal come from against when he played against Liverpool? Exact same position. Left-hand side, kind of, 18-yard box. When he scored the goal against Wolves, where did that come from? Go through his catalogue, each game. Do you know what I'm saying? So this is where I would prefer to see him. And maybe there'll be a world where you might see a Garnacho on the right, Kobbie is the left-sided 10, and then, if you bring a striker in the summer, obviously it'll be Rasmus Højlund for now, but you have Garnacho, Kobbie, and Rasmus as your front three. I'm interested to see that. But then you've got Mount coming in back into the fold, and people might be laughing at that and thinking, well, you know, Mount's going to be available for 20 minutes. But if he does stay fit, we know how much Ruben Amorim really appreciates Mason Mount as a player and loves the kind of the traits that he brings. If he stays fit, he's going to be incredible in this system. I can tell you that for a fact. Luke Shaw's back in on grass. I mean, you know, you've got a lot of players coming back, and I'm very, very interested to see who's going to start to be, you know, really ingrain himself as a starter. Because even players like you talk about Nasser Mazraoui, who's a chameleon. I mean, we've had him as left-sided centre-half, right-sided centre-half, left wing-back, right wing-back, dropping into midfield at times, like loads of stuff. So what's going to happen with him? Are you still going to use him as a utility player? I don't know. I think Amorim's still finding his feet a little bit with certain players. I think he's starting to know who he can trust and who you're going to have in the game. But with these players coming back, I think it's going to give him a couple of things to think about for sure. If you are just joining, by the way, please do smash a like of the video, subscribe to Real Reds Talk, and share to a friend. We are live on YouTube right now. We are also live on TikTok. So if my head is pivoting like one of those Mii characters on, do you remember Nintendo Wii when you're creating a thing and it was like doop 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 doop? That's what I look like right now. Don't I? Like doop 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 doop. Anyway, yeah, if you can subscribe, the link is in the bio on TikTok, and also you're already on YouTube, people, anyway, for the majority of the community. So I appreciate every single one of you. Brian saying, how do you view the remainder of the season regarding the league? Fantastic question. Let's have a quick look at, not the table, because that's fucking depressing. We're 13th on 37 points, but let's have a look at our next fixtures. I know we've got Nottingham Forest away. So these are the immediate fixtures as soon as we get back. So we don't actually play on the weekend. We play on Tuesday at 8 o'clock, which is kind of a bit of a, one of them. But we play Nottingham Forest away, Man City at home, Lyon away, Newcastle away, and then Lyon back at home, which is obviously an incredibly important game. They are all difficult, physically challenging games. All 5 of them. Amorim's spoken about the physical level against Lyon is going to be different as to what it was against against Real Sociedad, completely different team, right? Nottingham Forest have athletes. I can't speak today. Have athletes throughout the team. You know, physically strong players like Murillo and Milinkovic is the centre-back partnership. They have Elanga, who we know all about, who's absolutely rapid. Hudson-Odoi is another one. Chris Wood's strong. Elliot Anderson covers more grass than I've seen anyone. The volume is unbelievable. So that is going to be a difficult game to come back to, especially after an international break. I don't know how many players. I would probably suggest more players have gone away with Nottingham Forest, actually, given the form that they're in. But that coming back, you could be a little bit sloppy. You get hit on the counter-attack, and it could be a messy night, right? So that Nottingham Forest game straight off the bat is going to be difficult. The City one, I don't know, because going into that one in December when we played them at the Etihad, everyone was like, we fucked it. Even though City were in horrendous form, we was like, oh, I'm not sure about this, and then we still ended up winning. But in that game, we had Amad Diallo, and we don't really have that kind of that player who can just something out of nothing. Maybe Garnacho can start to become that, but City still have players like Haaland and Marmoush. I know De Bruyne has not been in the best form, but he can still whip a ball into the box. Bernardo Silva's still there or thereabouts. They've still got dangerous weapons. I know we're looking to get back at us, especially after the game in December. Now, Boom's saying, would you re-sign Elanga? No, I always feel like when someone leaves the club and they go and do well, and this is all due respect, obviously Nottingham Forest are having an incredible season, but I feel like they've kind of found their level and they're doing well there for a reason. I don't think it ever would have worked out at Man United because, first and foremost, the attacking areas for United is a bit of a graveyard for players. They do struggle, and I think Elanga, as bright as he was when he first came in, I feel like it takes those moves to move to Nottingham Forest to get going. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm buzzing for him. I think Elanga was someone who you can throw in a similar category to your Diego Dalot, for example, in terms of application and training. And I think he's absolutely like a top high-level professional, and that's why he's doing so well. And you reap the rewards from that. And I'm happy for him, but would I take him back? Not for me personally. On the right, because it's natural to him, speaking about Garnacho, he doesn't have to think about what he's doing or settle himself down as much. I'd probably agree with that. prime Mount is incoming under Amarin, if he can stay fit. Like Amir says, a fit Mount is dangerous. I'm absolutely with you on that. Mount is as bad as Shaw, though. In terms of injuries, yeah. Pat Mason, Euro and Heaven will be back soon. It's looking brighter. Yeah, can we chat Aiden Heaven for £1 million, by the way? Arsenal dropped the ball with that one. And I'm going to say the same thing with Chido Obi Martin as well. They dropped the ball with that. Because I think both of them are super, super talented players. And it's cost us a couple of £1,000,000. And that is the difference, my friends, in when you do your due diligence in scouting. It's night and day. You know, United historically could spend about 40-50 million pound on a player and they'll leave in a couple of years' time and not really have an impact. You spend £1 million on Heaven, he comes in, he's obviously got all the assets. I mean, this stinks of Wilcox again. Some of the signings have been really good, and I'm going to speak about Patrick Dorgu in a moment. But for £1 million, the physicality, the confidence, composure, strength, pace that he has for a defender at 18 years old, he's already worth £10 million. They've already, you know, I don't even know what the word is for times it by. They've times their money by 10, what they spent on him. And that's how easy, not easy, I'm not saying recruitment is easy, but that's how you can change your look. You go from a player who, even if you sell in 5 years' time, you're probably going to make 30-40 million pound on him. You know? And his wages are going to be nothing. What's Heaven's wages? Was he on about 20k a week or something? 10k a week? Now, don't get it twisted. You know, take me about half a year to earn that. But from a footballing perspective, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing to Man United, considering some of the wages. I mean, we're paying a 33-year-old on the bench 350 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? Charlie's just said there, 4k a week. You know? Really think about it. It just changes our whole thing completely. Now, whilst we're on the conversation of doing your due diligence with scouting and bringing in players who are making a difference and not necessarily having to spend £100 million or £80 million like we did with Harry Maguire or Anthony, Patrick Dorgu, people, is the truth. This man here on your screen, you can't see it on TikTok, on YouTube, but this man here, Patrick Dorgu, last night against Portugal, 97 minutes, 60 touches, 10 duels won, 5 clearances, 4 fouls won, 4 passes into the final third, 3 interceptions, 2 chances created, and 1 assist for Christian Eriksen, which he converted. I think we've mined an absolute gem here, by the way, with Patrick Dorgu. Genuinely believe that. He's one of those, right? This is the best way I could possibly describe it. For anyone who played Pokemon back in the day on the Game Boy Advance or Nintendo, or it weren't on Nintendo, was it? But on one of those, you know, you got the Fire version or the Emerald. For anyone who played Pokemon back in the day and you knew you got a good Pokemon when the Pokeball started shaking and then you break out of it, that is what we've got here with Dorgu. Going back and forth with Lecce saying, oh, 20, 25, 26, 27, whatever it ended up being. I'm telling you now, this is a player. This is a player. And do you know who he reminds me of a little bit? Obviously, one of the best left-backs in the world for me at the minute, or wing-backs, whatever you want to call him, is Nuno Mendes for PSG. If you look at how he dealt with Mohamed Salah and the attributes that he's got, the athleticism to bomb up and down the pitch, the technical control, right foot, left foot, the willingness to drive and the confidence to drive as well, it's got that kind of thing about it. I'm not saying he's at that level now because Nuno Mendes is, you know, right up there. But I'm saying there is similar things there. And something that Amarin has spoken about, something that I think even Jason Wilcox and just the people higher up at United have spoken about, what Man United need at the moment is athleticism in abundance. We have too many players who they're not strong enough, they're not quick enough, they can't cover grass, and they don't have an engine. Players like Christian Eriksen, for example. We have too many of those kind of flaky players. Lindelof's another one as well. You need players like that in your team, especially in the Premier League. With the running stats nowadays, the strength, the intensity and pressure, Dorgu is perfect for the Premier League. We look much better team with Dorgu in it. He's still so young. We do, Richard. You're absolutely spot on. And you know what? It's not really hard if we are looking at it as an overall thing, because the past couple of years, think about who we've been playing at left back. Right, we have played. Go through it. Past couple of years, we've had Amrabat at left back. We've had Lindelof at left back. We've had Aaron Wan-Bissaka at left back, and there's probably been other ones that have filled in there. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head, but there's definitely others that have filled in there where you've gone, Oh, God, please, can we just sign a left-footed left-back? And Dorgu's come in, and you've noticed the world of difference straight away. And you can say the same thing on the right-hand side. Now, Dalot is Dalot. I don't rate him. I think him and Onana are the two players for me who worry me and who I would probably look to move on. That right side, if you bring in someone like, I mean, Giovanni Kender's signed for Chelsea now, but let's say you keep Ahmad there, or you bring someone in like a Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen who fits that role, that will change dramatically. Because what happens then is you have a threat on both sides. You have, because a lot of United's attacks, you shut down the left-hand side historically, you can deal with a threat. You open up a lane there on the right-hand side, Frimpong bombing on, Dorgu bombing on, and you see the system working so much more fluently. It's unreal. So, yeah, Patrick Dorgu for me, let me know what you think, guy. I think he's... I don't want to overhype it, because when a young player comes in, we do have a habit of this as United fans, overhyping players, but I really like him. Really, genuinely like him. And you can only be true. You can only be truthful, can't you? You know what I mean? I'm an honest man, if anything. Brian saying, going to the Lyon game, Stretford End, first game. Any tips, advice on how to have best matchday experience? Pubs, time the players coming off the bus, and just generally soaking in the buzz. Let us know where you're coming from as well, Brian. Are you travelling from England? Are you from a different country? Let us know. In terms of tips, advice, how to have best day match experience, I don't know, everyone's different, I suppose. Like, me personally, there'd be certain times where if I'm going to the game, I'll go and have a pint at Hotel Football. At the bottom, there's a bit of an experience there, with the guys singing kind of the United songs on the guitar. That's quite good. People go to the Tollgate. That's kind of mixed in with a very strong United supporters. That's where a lot of the Glazer out kind of protests stem from. That's historic for that, but it's also a fantastic pub as well. There's pubs about the stadium you can go into anywhere in Salford Quays for a few beers. If you are just visiting Manchester or visiting Salford, I'd probably suggest going somewhere there and then walking over to the stadium. And if you're talking about a match day experience, if you're in the Stretford End, you're sorted, mate. For me personally, I mean, I've been in the East Stand. I've been everywhere in the stadium, right, and sat down, whether it's Sir Alex Ferguson, Sir Bobby Charlton, in the TR8, like anywhere around. For me personally, I prefer the Stretford End because, one, you stood up all game. People might not rate that, but I just prefer, I feel like I'm more immersed in the atmosphere, more immersed in the game, stood up alongside people, chanting and watching it like straight down. Because obviously, typically, they do attack the Stretford End first, right? Second, sorry. They're doing it now because Bruno's trying to turn some kind of momentum down in the first half because we're starting so poor. But usually they attack the Stretford End in the second half. So if you're talking about a match day experience, just Stretford End is perfect for it, mate. Honestly, it's one of the best. I was there for the Sociedad game. That was the last time I was at the stadium in the Stretford End, second tier Stretford End, I think it was. And it's incredible. Loved it. And what a game as well, by the way. Sociedad. Really, really good. So, yeah, hopefully that advice helps. James McGogan, Dorgu reminds me when Evra first arrived. Energy up and down that 3-foot side. 13-foot side, I think it says. Sorry, James. Also, Charlie's saying we will have two really athletic left wing backs. Dorgu's a running master. Lyon, he is almost a carbon copy. A little weaker on the defensive, but better on the offensive. Yeah, Diego Lyon is an interesting player in it. Explosive is probably the best way to describe him from what I've seen. I've literally only seen little bits, but he's another exciting talent. And I'm sure Jason Wilcox has his fingerprints on that as well. Dorgu is a game changer, definitely. Brian's travelling from Ireland. Right, so you literally got like a 45-minute hour flight. One of the lads from this channel on Real Reds Talk, Adam, who's from Ireland, he's from Sligo. He came over, managed to sort him tickets and stuff like that, and he absolutely loved it. I think he came over when Ronaldo scored a hat-trick. So that was the last time he managed to get over from Ireland. But yeah, he chose the game. I think Ronaldo scored a free kick as well. It was against Norwich, I want to say. Really sunny day. He absolutely loved it. So, yeah, let us know. Please do smash like and video, subscribe to the channel. By the way, we're on 13,442 subs. So if there is anyone watching on TikTok or YouTube, join the community. We have lives every single day. We have guests on. We've got a couple of exciting guests that we're working on this week. But we've had guests on before, like Jay Motti, Carl Anker from The Athletic. Laurie Whitwell's been on before. Kieran Maguire, the financial advisor. Yeah, we've had loads of amazing guests on the show. So if you do appreciate the content, please do let us know. Right, what was the next thing I wanted to talk about? Jarrad Branthwaite. So, Sky News reported before that Manchester United remain keen on Jarrad Branthwaite. Is expected to further consider his Everton future after being left out of the England squad. Now, we've just been speaking about Aiden Heaven and Lenny Yoro for a bit, right? Lisandro Martinez is out until the end of the season, and he needs to come back into the team. We've got Matthias de Ligt, we've got Harry Maguire. So, do we need another centre-back? Probably, yeah. But then what happens with that growth to the other players? If you bring in Branthwaite now, what options have you got? Let's go through them together. You've got, let's say, the two central centre-backs, de Ligt and Maguire. Two pretty good options, right? Right centre-half, Lenny Yoro, Maguire. Would you probably go? Or Lenny Yoro, let's say if you're just going pure centre-backs, let's go Lenny Yoro. No, actually, I'm going to switch this up. Lenny Yoro's a right-sided centre. Yeah, we'll go Lenny Yoro, Maguire, and then left-sided centre-half, you've got Aiden Heaven and Lisandro Martinez. So do you actually need another centre-back? Probably, but then, I mean, if Branthwaite's going to cost 60, 70 million pound, I don't know. One thing I'll say, and I've been consistent on this, Lisandro Martinez, for me, is one of the best centre-backs on the ball in Europe. However, he doesn't have the height, strength, and pace of someone in the modern game now, for me, to play in one of those left-sided roles or right-sided roles when you're defending channels and you're trying to push up the pitch. That's one thing he struggled with. He was amazing before he got injured, but that's another thing as well against his net. He gets injured a lot, and the big injuries. The one against Sevilla, out for 6 months, bang, seen a bit. The one against West Ham, landed on his knee, bang, out for 6 months, a year, whatever it was. This one, again, out for another. Do you know, can you have players who that's constantly happening to? So, if you're a manager, you're probably saying, yeah, get me another centre-back in. And you go with Yoro, de Ligt, Branthwaite, and then you have Heaven as an understudy. You have Maguire you can fill in there, etc., etc. That's probably what I would go with. So the fact that the interest is still there, does it surprise me? No. But trying to do a deal now, especially with Everton staying up, them going into a new stadium, them actually being higher in the table than us. Let's not forget that, by the way. That's the crazy thing. Let's have a look at the table. They are, what, a few points above. Oh, you know, they're below us now. Oh, my goodness me, we've overtook him. They're on 34 points, we're on 37, so we're around the same area at the minute. Now, obviously, United offer different prospects. You're more likely to go into Europe. Your wage is going to be better. Everything will just be better. So that's obviously why I would consider Manchester United. But it will still be a hard deal to do. We tried it last time, throwing in 50 million, and they was like, no, we want 70. If they're still asking for that in the summer, move on. Move on. You've just bought a player for £1 million at centre-back who looks like an incredible prospect. You're not always going to get them, but it just goes to show there are other options in the market that you can go for. Now, this leans into the news, and this is coming from Samuel Luckhurst, that Jonny Evans and Tom Heaton are likely to retire at the end of the season. And you know what? I just want to give Jonny Evans his flowers whilst he's still here. And obviously, I don't mean he's going to pass away or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, when he first came in, there was news, wasn't there, that he's just training with the team. He's just trying to get fit to try find another club. We had an absolute disaster at the back line. He steps in, and you know what? With all things considered, his age and everything like that, he done incredibly well. People were talking about him as a signing as a season for us. Had he not been there, we would have been absolutely fucked at times. You think about the assist against Burnley as well for Bruno Fernandes. Incredible. Obviously, there's no longevity in it. You have to play a certain way. You can't really play an hammering system. I remember in the first game he started against Ipswich, tries stepping up, just gets absolutely murked by, what's his name for Ipswich? Amari Hutchinson. And Amram was straight away like, no, he's not got the level to push forward. Obviously, still an experienced figure, could still probably do a job for other clubs. But yeah, you got to give him a flowers. The first season for us surprised a lot of people. And there was a lot of raised eyebrows when he first came in, and he did a really, really good. Even this season, I think there was a performance against, I want to say Aston Villa, where he was really, really good. And I think he got man of the match. It was either Aston Villa or Crystal Palace, I can't remember. But yeah, it's like Dave says, Evans came in as the 5th, 6th choice centre-back and done outstanding. Have to agree with that. So yeah, if they do leave in the summer, fair play to them both. Dorgu, sorry with that. You can add Shaw and Dallow into the centre-back roles as well. Yeah, Luke Shaw for sure. Leach has lost 50% of his United career to injury. That is Shaw numbers right there. If United go on a run, we could do the same madness and salvage the worst season ever. And we've got Jordy in the chat saying, oh, I, the lads, who's still probably happy from his cup win and beating Liverpool. So, yeah, nice to see you, Jordy. Hope you're still good, mate. Yeah, what was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Jadon Sancho. Rob Dawson came out earlier on this morning saying that sources close to Chelsea have played down the possibility that Jadon Sancho could return to Manchester United. Now, David Ornstein reported the other day that they was, I don't know if he said thinking about it, but he was like, if Chelsea want to cancel the obligation, which means why the fuck is it called an obligation if they don't have to buy him and they could just pay a fee? Can we change the word of that to something else, please? Because that just makes no sense. But if they wanted to, they could pay $5 million and say, no, we don't want him United. You take this problem back. And then we've got to go through the whole motion of, oh, we've got to pay his wages. We need to sell him. No one wants to buy him. And then all that kind of nonsense. But the fact that Rob Dawson's coming out and saying this, saying that Chelsea have played it down, hopefully that means he's finally gone after 2-3 years of just nonsense, basically. So, yeah, Chelsea, if you are watching, listening, keep him, please. He is your problem now. Do not send us him back. We don't want him. I don't speak for everyone, but that is my opinion on that situation, and hopefully that is true in regards to playing it down. On the transfer window in general, there was a bit of news that broke before that Premier League clubs are discussing closing the summer transfer window this year on August the 14th, 2 days before the start of the 25-26 season, when they meet on Thursday. This is going to be a conversation. Now, this, for me, is multi-layers, right? Because how is this going to help if we say, all right, we're closing the transfer window on the 14th. That's it, business done. But then other windows are open. The Turkish window, the Saudi window. And if they buy someone, then how's the Premier League going to replace them then? I think it's impossible to do because teams and, different areas have different rules and regulations and when their window's shut. So to get all that in one and agree on one day, right, everyone in the football leagues and football sphere has to close the transfer window on the 14th. If you could do that, then great. Because then once business is done, it's done. It's going to be impossible to do that because there's still going to be windows in China and Saudi that are open for another 2 weeks. And then, yeah, especially with Saudi, if they're buying Premier League players, they need to replace them. And then it just becomes a bit of a nightmare. One thing I will say with it, the theory of it is it's a positive in the sense that there's going to be no last-minute buys or panic buys, from our sense anyway. I mean, we're not that kind of club now anyway. We don't have Murta and Richard Arnold in charge. Ineos don't strike me as that type of ownership to do that. But that would be a positive if there's any kind of silver lining to that news. And the last bit of news that I wanted to discuss, because there's been quite a bit, Manchester United have already generated interest in naming rights for their proposed new 100,000-seater stadium, with confidence of landing a world record deal. Some of the club's current sponsors have already tabled their intention to bid for it, in the knowledge that it would require a benchmark fee. Now, I imagine the stadium's probably going to be called the Snapdragon New Trafford or something like that. I think they're going to be the company that will probably have first dibs with them, obviously having a sponsorship deal with Manchester United. It's going to cost them an absolute arm and a leg. I don't know, 60, 70 million quid, probably. If they were going to have their name, maybe more. I might be stupid. Someone with financial expertise could tell me I'm wrong. I'd imagine that's probably be the fee or thereabouts. What's going to be interesting with this is if any other big companies throw their name in the hat, if you, I don't know, someone like Amazon or Apple. And it got me thinking as well, imagine if Apple threw their name in the hat and it was like, right, we want to name it the I Trafford, let's say. I can already feel people behind the camera or behind the phones watching now thinking, oh, shut the fuck up. I get it, right? I understand it. But think about the technology advances inside the stadium that you would get in there. That would be pretty incredible, wouldn't it? You know, as a concept. The I Trafford when you walk in. Now, it takes away from the traditions and what Old Trafford is about, and that is something I definitely don't like. It won't have that match day feel. It'll become more of a generic American stadium. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get that side of it. Well, I just thought it was interesting to discuss the concept and the possibility, for sure. Jokeres news chat. Charlie Malman, they'll also sell all the stands. And again, you're putting Gyökeres news. I don't know what that's on about. I don't know if some news dropped on Gyökeres or not. But just, yeah, let us know your thoughts on the sponsorships being involved with Man United. Are you bothered if they change the name? What are your thoughts on the stadium in general? How do you see it coming about? Do you think, what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be the new Trafford, Trafford? Still call it Old Trafford, but with a sprinkle of, something, a little something. I don't know. We've still got another 5-7 years anyway to worry about that. We've got to build it first, and then we can start really seeing what happens in the next couple of years' time. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, people. We've covered a lot of topics, and probably about 8 topics in this new show, so we've absolutely blitzed through it. I want to say, first and foremost, thank you to all of you guys watching, whether you're on TikTok or YouTube. If you do enjoy the content and like having a conversation about Manchester United, subscribe to the channel, please. We're on 13,442 subs. So, yeah, the link is in the bio. Like I said, we drop content every single day. We have really good guests on. We drop other bits over on our socials, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We have news posts every single day to keep you up to date by the second with everything that's ongoing with Manchester United. Sam does an incredible job over on there. So do check us out on the socials. Apart from that, enjoy the rest of your day, whatever it is you're doing. You might be having a bath. You might be having a lasagna. You might be, I won't say that. Whatever it is you're doing, enjoy it. Appreciate every single one of you, and I'll